Hi, this is Jo from Cariad Academy of Crystal Healing, Cariad Crystal Healing and Spiritual Guidance, and the Energetic Shift Group on Facebook. This is actually the third time that I've tried to start this video, so I'm hoping this one's going to work. Something happened to disturb the first two, which is very typical of Mercury retrograde, and that's one of the things that I want to talk about. There are also a lot of other planetary aspects going on this month. But first, what I want to talk about is the intense energy period that we've just finished. So according to the galactic time, and if you're interested in researching a bit more about that, you can search up thelawoftime.org. So there's a website there that talks about it in a bit more detail, and it's kind of a more natural time rather than the imposed time and calendar that we have in our 3D kind of existence here in the physical plane. So according to that calendar, we have just had a series of 10 galactic activation portal days, which are high energy days. We've had 10 in a row. Now, I've been following this law of time, galactic time I should say, for the last 18 months or so, and it's common to get 1 or 2 a month, perhaps 2 together, but 10 in a row is pretty mega, and I must admit I found it pretty mega. I felt like for the most part I was able to ride the wave, but it has been really, really powerful, and I've had some major insights into my own healing journey, into what we're doing here as a collective as well. Now, I'm not going to go into that in any detail here now. I'm actually going to be doing a workshop. So for those of you who are local to me, this will be in Chester, and it'll be on the 21st of December. If you look on my Eventbrite page, you'll be able to find details on that and how to book it. But what I feel like I need to share with you is that intense period of energy, 10 days of it. Now, bearing in mind I've been going through this for quite some time, started this a while ago, and I still found it really intense, so I can imagine how intense you will have felt it too. If you're still experiencing symptoms, even though that period of time is finished, I want you to know that that's normal, so please don't think that there's anything that you're doing wrong. From my own point of view, my little body struggles to incorporate some of these energies sometimes, and I have to just stop. So this energy period finished on the 4th of November. It's the 7th of November as I'm recording this, and this morning I woke up unable to move my left arm. I had to have an emergency visit to the chiropractor, but I still cannot move my arm properly. So I'm going to really struggle to try and wash my hair and stuff like that. Couldn't drive my car to get there. Trying to change gear was an absolute nightmare. So my poor little body is really struggling to incorporate these energies, and the best thing that you can do if this is the kind of thing that you're experiencing yourself is to just rest. The more you try and do, the more your body resists. And what you're doing whilst you're doing is actually resisting allowing these energies to settle. So you have to rest and stop to let these energies settle in. I must admit, I wasn't expecting to have such a heavy shift, I suppose, because I've had lots of these heavy shifts. And I'm sure that that's why I had a slip disc back in 2015 as a result of the intense energy shifts that I was going through, and my poor little body trying to adjust to them. So I'm quite surprised at the severity of this now, but I've just got to roll with it really. So I've just been resting. I've been wrapped up, got a heat pack on under here as well on my shoulder to look after it. So if you're struggling, you're not alone. It's normal, and you need to incorporate this energy. You've got to allow this high energy to hit your body, allow it to settle in, and it is going to change our physical makeup. Not so that we're all sparkly and see-through and transparent, but we do have to change to incorporate these higher vibrational energies. I was reading something, I can't remember where it was, but it was only the other day, and it made so much sense for me. So it's interesting that it's coincided. I wasn't going to talk about this, but it's just popped into my mind, so I'm just going to go with it. The other day I was reading something about how our DNA has lots of apparently dormant, science believes that they are dormant pieces of DNA, and there are only certain pieces of our DNA that are active. But I believe that, when people talk about DNA activations, I believe that that's what they're talking about now. And none of it had really made sense for me about these DNA activations. I accepted it. It wasn't that I didn't believe it, but it didn't make sense. And when I read this article, it made a lot of sense for me. So our DNA is being activated. These dormant pieces, I believe, are being activated, being switched on. And of course, that's going to have repercussions physically. Sometimes these energy waves that we experience take some time to make themselves apparent in the physical, because the physical is so dense. And so as you start off with this clearing and healing journey, it can seem like it takes quite a long time for the physical effects to become apparent. But the further along you go, and the more you clear and the more you download, the quicker they start to manifest physically. And so these 3 days it's taken for this high energy to incorporate or to hit my physical body as it's incorporating now. So it gets quicker and quicker. Now, other things that get quicker and quicker, this really leads nicely in. I couldn't have planned this better. I've just gone with it and it's fitted in really nicely. Another thing that manifests quicker and quicker is what we are thinking about. And this is what Mercury in retrograde is helping us with. So everybody always moans and complains when Mercury is retrograde, because he can play havoc with technology and making appointments and stuff like that, technical stuff or organisational stuff. So he has a bit of a bad rap for things like that. But this one, Mercury retrograde has its helpful points too, and this one is helping us to shift our minds into thinking in the 5D way, ready for the conscious changes that we're going to need to make. And so that's what this retrograde period is about now. So it lasts until the 20th of November, and then there's a shadow period where he backtracks over so he goes backwards and then he stops and starts going forward again. So he covers the same period again, but going forwards. So there's a shadow period after the 20th of November. And so what we've been asked to do is to really focus our minds on what it is that we want, and to stop focusing on what we don't want. So where we're constantly thinking, oh my God, nothing ever goes right for me. Oh my God, why can't I have what I want? Oh my God, I've never got enough money. Why is everything so difficult? When you're thinking things like that, the more you shift into 5D consciousness, you're going to actually create more of that. And is that what you really want to create? And so you have to get out of thinking about what you don't want, because that's all that the universe and the energy feels and hears, into thinking about what it is that you do want. Now, for me, that's been quite a massive process, trying to get my brain into gear. And I feel like that's been particularly difficult for me for a reason, and that's some of the stuff that's going to be coming up in the workshop that I'm doing. But that's how the 3D has managed to control us for so long, because it's like attacking us from the inside in a way. The stuff that we think is what we create, and what we've created in the outside world, we get angry at what's outside, which just creates like a reinforcing vicious cycle that goes on and on. It's like, oh my God, I've got no money. I never have enough money. And you're thinking this stuff, and then you make it happen in the physical world, and you're struggling for money. And then because you're struggling for money, you notice it more, and you're thinking about it more, and you're feeding energy into what you don't want. And so the 3D is programming us to do that. And what we have to do is unprogram ourselves from that. Now the energy is helping us with it. And Mercury retrograde is helping us with that too. So what I want you to really do, to be conscious of over the next few weeks as we go through this Mercury retrograde, is focus on what it is that you do want. Notice where your mind is constantly reinforcing what you don't want and aim to do something about it. Now, it's really difficult, I know, to change these habits. I mean, it's literally a habit of a lifetime and many lifetimes for many of us. So I appreciate that it's difficult. It's been difficult for me too. But noticing it is the first step to starting to do something about it. So really pay attention to what your mind kind of thinks automatically without your control. Just noticing those negative patterns is the first step to stopping it. It may help you to write about these things. What I found particularly helpful is positive affirmations. However, the positive affirmations are great, but you're constantly fighting the negative then. So you really do need to do something to get rid of the negative thoughts too. Now that'll be different for all of you. There's so many different things that you can do. So it's up to you to find what works for you. I feel like there's something that I want to mention that I've kind of skipped over and I just want to wait and go back to it. Yeah, so we can try to have these positive affirmations, but if we're clashing with negative thoughts, we're kind of just they cancel each other out, so it's not really very helpful. Or you can have mixed manifestations where it's like a bit stop-start. You get something good and then something rubbish happens. It's like 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. So if that's happening to you, know that the way of stopping it is in here, and you have control over that, even though it's really difficult, even though it feels like you may not. I know that I certainly felt like I didn't have control over it. I'd be having these little conversations with myself going, oh my God, why am I thinking like this? I don't want to think like this. Where is this coming from? And they're not yours. So you don't need to own them. One of the things that I do sometimes which helps me is as soon as I notice myself thinking a negative thought or focusing on something that I don't want, I go, right, cancel that, delete it, delete it, delete it. I'm talking to my angels, right, delete it, I don't want that, delete it, delete it, delete it. And then think your positive affirmation that goes with it. And it helps to plan your positive affirmations in advance so that you know it's there straight away. So when you catch yourself making a negative thought like, oh my God, I've not got any money, delete, delete, delete. Everything always works out for me. I am perfectly abundant. That's your positive affirmation straight there. So you have to do conscious work on this. You're at the stage now where you are going to be consciously creating and manifesting, and that is what 5D is all about. So really become aware of what your mind is doing and get in control of it, because that is how you're going to project your reality. Everything that you experience comes from within you. The good things, the bad things, the horrible people, the lovely people, they all come from within you. And what you have to focus on is what you want more of. If you want to keep manifesting horrible people and horrible experiences, think about that. And if you don't, then you need to start to reprogram your brain on what you do want to create. So that's the Mercury retrograde period. One other thing that I really want to talk about is, actually there's quite a few things, let me go back. During the Mercury retrograde period there is 11/11, which is a massive high energy day, in particular for twin flames. I don't want to say too much about that in lots of detail, but it's a very high manifestation day for everybody. So I think it's very, very, very pertinent, very apt that I'm talking about careful what you're manifesting from your mind, because we've got that high energy portal coming up on the 11th of November. The day after that we have a full moon. There are a few other planetary like goings on at the same time. So it's going to be very high energy period then. Towards the end of November, whilst Mercury retrograde is actually in shadow, so he's going forwards but he's in his shadow period, he's tracking over where he's already been. The 24th of November, there are activations happening around the galactic portal. Not galactic portal, is that the right word? There's a point, 27 degrees of Sagittarius is like the where we are aligned with the galaxy. So it creates a really open portal, like a direct link between us and the galaxy. So lots of high vibrational energies come in at that time. It it lines everything up, and so the flow is like really, there's nothing to stop it, there's nothing getting in the way. And so there can be a lot of healing, purging, ascension symptoms going on at that time, so just watch out for that. There is a new moon around that time too, but also there are like I say, there are planets that are constantly crossing over that section of that galaxy point. I understand it, but I don't know if I'm explaining it well enough for you. I hope it's enough information for you. So as these planets cross, I feel that it's going to trigger different things in us that we need to address, that we need to look at. Because remember, this whole period now is a preparation for the eclipse portal, which is happening on the 26th of December. So it's like running for the finish line now, and I think most of the people that I'm talking to now are in the first wave. So you are going to be actually completing a lot of your intense work around that eclipse portal date on the 26th of December. So you will have done most of what you need to do to get into that 5D. So that's your finish line. We are racing for the finish line now to get all of that done. Other people who may be watching are in the second wave, and you will be starting around now, around that eclipse portal date, perhaps sometime after, because there's a few eclipses that happen into 2020, and there's quite a few planetary aspects that are going on in 2020 which are quite intense as well. So people are going to be wrapping up their 5D shift as more people are starting, and so there's loads of work to do. Sorry people, it's not going to get any easier. You might find it easier, but there's still going to be a lot of work for you to do. I feel like I've missed something again. Give me a minute. No, I think I'm happy actually with everything that I've said so far. So the energies are supporting us. We really are racing for the finish line now with this first wave, where we're going to be wrapping things up and stepping more and more into 5D, and we'll kind of reach that. We'll be tipping the balance, shall we say, into how far into 5D we are. Yes, there will be aspects of 3D that we still need to deal with, but you'll be further into 5D than you are in 3D. So it's like that gravitational pull will help pull you into 5D. So please know that you're doing really well. Even if you don't feel like it, you really are. The information that I've been getting recently has all been really, really positive. And so where we're at now, we're kind of reaching the really dense process of making this stuff physical. And part of making it physical is getting your mind under control. I feel like I do need to mention a little bit more about this mind related stuff. So as we clear and shift the energy that we don't need, that's all done on an energetic basis. Yes, we can feel it physically. Things can happen in the physical. We feel it emotionally and mentally. However, it takes time for it to filter through into consciousness, into the physical. And the way that it reaches the physical is by your mind projecting it onto the physical. And so where we're having to reprogram our minds now, that is how we are making it physical. So we are reaching the physical plane now. The whole point of why we're doing this is to create new earth, a physical reality based on this 5D consciousness. And so you're doing it. That's where you're up to now, by getting in control of your mind and focusing on what you want and projecting that onto your reality, and setting aside any fears and doubts and negativity that might be getting in the way. That's what that's what you've come here to do. Any residual fears and doubts, you really need to work on clearing them as best as you can. And so the flame healing that we talked about lots and lots, that's really still going to be important. I'm still doing it now. It's nowhere near as intense as it has been. It is still quite intense, but how do I explain how it feels different? It's just a lot more manageable now than it was. It's still as intense. It's not as unpleasant, shall we say. It's more manageable. I'm able to get on with my daily life much more than I was able to before. So things will get easier for you too. I have total faith in you doing this. I know that you're doing it because they're telling me that you are, and I can feel that it's working. So please keep doing it. Even if you can't feel it, can't see anything working, it really is working. So please have faith in that and trust that you can do it. Your soul knows that you can do it, and that's why you're here. If you feel like you need help with getting in control of your physical reality by harnessing your mind, 2 crystals that I'd like to recommend to work together with are fluorite and pyrite. The fluorite is the one that's really good for organising thoughts, getting back into control of your mental activity, creating that focus. And the pyrite is a very grounding energy when we're talking about mental thoughts. So it's very grounding for that mental energy. So it really helps to stabilize your thoughts while you're using it with the fluorite. So those are 2 crystals that I would really recommend you to work with whilst you are going through this process. And also I've been reminded as well, again, they're showing me notebooks and journals. It's really helpful to write down what you wish to create for yourself, because while you're doing that, you are creating a physical manifestation of your thoughts. So it helps to kind of guide the process of creating your physical reality based around what your thoughts, your 5D thoughts are. So listen to your intuition, listen to your soul. There's a reason why you really love the things that you do, and you want the things that you do, and you want them for a reason, because you're here to create them. And so focus on that and make your mind focus on that. And then whilst you're focusing your mind on that, writing this stuff down, even vision boards if they help you. If that's the way that you're inclined, create a vision board or create these positive affirmations. Write down what it is that you wish to create, so that you've got that physical manifestation in your hands that you can hold already, and keep focusing on it. So vision boards are quite good because you can hang them and you can look at them like every day. Hang them on the back of your door so you look at them every day. So you're constantly reinforcing in your mind what it is that you want. And you're programming yourself to focus on that and to focus on creating from that heart space, from that 5D energy. So that feels a little bit jumbled, but I trust that I've got out everything that I needed to say to you. I do believe that everything that I say comes out in the right order, and it comes out with the codes and the triggers that you need to help you, whether it's healing, whether it's that confirmation, whatever it is that you need. I totally trust that it comes out. So I don't mind that it's a bit jumbly. I feel a little bit jumbly. I think that energy in my dodgy arm is jumbling me up a little bit. But I hope that it helps you. I send you lots of love. Until the next time. See you soon.